farm pond somewhere in the Midwest. Your host is Jim Crowley. This is Slickfish Radio. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Slickfish Radio. Merry Christmas. I am your host, Jim. I will work for Eggnog Crowley. So glad to have you guys all here. We're going to have a great time tonight. This is going to be a great show. And whether you're watching us live on Facebook and YouTube, or you're going to catch us tomorrow on Roku, Fire TV, Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon Music, we are glad to have you. Got a great guest tonight. Mark Davis from Big Water Adventures. So thrilled to have him on for the last show of the year. Since he's going to be here at the end of the show tonight, we are going to give away some stuff from Lucas Oil, as Lucas Oil is a big sponsor of my show, as well as Mark Davis. And first of all, I want to mention some of the sponsors for Slickfish Radio tonight, and make sure I got comments coming in already. Hi guys. Hi James. How are you? I want to thank American Tackle for joining us. Explore Lacrosse, Shield Springfield, Illinois, and Dakota Lithium. Thanks for all of them for making this possible. And of course, to all of you. Got some more of you chiming in here. Hi to everybody. I'm going to bring in our guest coming off his 15th season. Just finished up for Big Water Outdoors. The man does not sleep. He just doesn't sleep. And but he's always working hard, crossing his T's, dotting his I's, been around for a long time. And we are glad to have Mark. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, it's great to be here. That was some top-level, top-shelf George Lucas-type intro graphics there, man. That was impressive.
It's fun.
My capabilities.
And, yeah, whatever. Okay, we, you know what? If you can't have fun doing this, right? I mean, we get to talk fishing, and we work in one of the greatest industries in the world, and you got to have some fun with it. Well, first of all, I got to tell you, it's so cool. You and I have known each other a long
decades.
Long time. Give you guys a little bit of history just about Mark. Years and years ago, I mean back in 2000s, before that, he was the pro staff manager, product manager, all that for Pfluger Shakespeare before Pure Fishing got him. And he wore about every hat pretty much that they had to go with. And that's where I first talked with you. And since then, a lot of things have happened. You've always been in my opinion, always been a juggernaut in the industry. Big Water Adventures with his 15th year.
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, when you started, I want you to think back a little bit. When you started this, what did you think? Did you even think 15 years, or what was your vision when you first started the show?
You know, when I left Shakespeare Pfluger, about the only thing we did wrong is we didn't own it. We made it a great company for somebody to come in and buy, and they did. We grew it $200 million, and I had some choices to make and some decisions to make, and I'd gotten in with a production company and had done a bunch. You know, you and I had co-hosted Midwest Outdoors back in the day, and, you know, got to know a lot of people. My background was in advertising. I learned the television side of it, and I stopped and thought, you know, with the Mark Sosens of the world and the Kurt Gowdies and Jose Wahabes and the guys like that, you know, have always been Dahlberg. I mean, the guys that I've always just loved to watch with Destination Adventure Entertainment. I thought, man, that's something I'd really like to get into. And I came from a freshwater side. I mean, I was an Indiana, upper Midwest kind of kid, you know, hadn't even seen the ocean until I was 21 years old. And it was something that just fascinated me. And I'll be honest with you, it was just the timing on everything. I think everybody talks about making the jump. I got kicked out the window and made the jump on the way down. So, you know, I never really thought it would turn into, we're going to do our 200th episode next season.
That's crazy.
And, and I never thought it would go this long and be this, you know, quite frankly, fun. I mean, it's been a great time, and the business model was going to be successful from the beginning for one simple reason. I go to the best destinations with the best people in the world. I mean, I knew that, you know, nobody bores me quicker than me. And if I just made it about somebody else and somewhere else, I think we could make it work. And it did.
You know, and that's one thing I've always enjoyed about the show is places like Crocodile Bay, you know, places like Tropic Star Lodge.
Right.
And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about them because I love fishing in Venice. I did it the last 5 or 6 years and just got done watching an episode where you caught this. We got to talk about that first of all. Dude, my biggest red is 35 pounds, and that made it look like junior.
Yeah,
How big was that thing?
You know, we weren't supposed to catch it. We didn't have anything really to tell you. I mean, I was with Chad Dufresne down in Delacroix, and we were fishing shallow water reds, and it was down there in the wintertime. I mean, you may have a cast where you catch a 5-pounder and the next one will be 30, and they're mixed in. So it's wintertime fish. Chad said it's the biggest one ever to come into his boat, and he's, won redfish national titles and championships and all kinds of stuff. And I've been fishing down there 30 years, and that's got to be one of the top 2 or 3 that I've ever caught. You catch them that big in the Neuse River when they're getting upwards over 50 pounds, 50, 55 pounds and up. That fish was just, I mean, it was on a Strike King blade bait, Thunder Cricket. And I had it on a 20-pound braided line and 40-pound Seaguar Gold label, fluorocarbon leader. And when that fish bit, it was in 18 inches of water and it looked like a jet ski going across there. And I mean, both of us just kind of looked at each other and said, holy smokes. So, I mean, we were guessing it was, I'm sure it was well over 50 inches long, probably 55 pounds or so.
Now, this was a beautiful fish. That wasn't as big as that one, but that one right there, just with all the markings and the background pictures and everything.
That's Big Water Adventures with the water spouts in the background. That's it. That's the epitome of what we do.
That's hardcore looking. Yeah, we got to get, because anything for television, we got to get this shot before we go in.
I turned around and I said, God just gave me the greatest landscape in the world.
That's
and if
right.
It kills me, at least I got it on video.
Exactly. And you got back safe. Because anybody who's been to Venice at all knows that it can kick up in a heartbeat. You can be the best weather predictor in the world, and all of a sudden there's a storm that's going to come up and you're going to be running somewhere.
Yeah, you got to run. I mean, it's, you're out there in the open, 60 miles sometimes away from the boat ramp.
Yeah. I want to say hi to a couple people just chimed in. Landon Malone. Hi, Landon. James, how are you? Jimmy Neese from California. Glad to see you on, buddy. Thanks for coming back in again. And if you guys got any questions or any comments, please feel free. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the show, because we will, since Mark is on today, we said it in the beginning, but we are going to be giving away some Lucas Oil swag, so to speak, just so you guys can stay tuned for that, because anything, as Mark knows, and so do I, anything in Lucas Oil is good. Whether you're wearing it.
They make some swag.
Yeah, whether you're wearing it. Hey, bud. Hey, Nell's on there. I know his real name, but hey, Nell, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Mark, one of the other things I want to talk about is you fished and hunted all over the world, back from the days when I knew you from Midwest Outdoors, and you did a lot of deer stuff and things like that. And I'm a big duck hunter. I love hunting ducks and everything. But there's just something when you get to saltwater. I've always said one of my favorite places is fishing that Venice area. But there have been some places. I want to show you a picture here, because we're going to play a little game here called What the Heck Is That Fish That Mark Caught? Okay. Because I don't know. So
don't go too far back. I might forget.
Dude, I went through all kinds of stuff. I go, what the heck is that? And I didn't see that one. So this one right here, what is that? To me, it looked like a giant triple tail.
No, that's a Warsaw grouper, weighed about probably 65, 70 pounds. I caught him at about 350 feet of water. And just to put it in perspective, that's a Halco. It's a Max 190 is what it's called. Yeah. We call it the big unit. That thing's about 10, 11 inches long, and it's hanging out in front of that. The face is like a Garcia Vega cigar.
Look at that thing.
Yeah.
That is cool. Now, This one, I think I know this one, because I love when you catch them, but I could be wrong. It might be a Cubera snapper.
That's a Cubera, and that was another full-grown one. We were actually doing some field trials. They had just come up with the power bucktail. Gamakatsu had come out. Well, Spro had come out with it. And Gamakatsu, they put a big heavy hook in that thing. And they literally told me, go try to see if you can bend it and see if you can break it. And that was one of the fish that came the closest. But you can see he still lost.
Yeah. Now, because I know it's happened to me, and you caught way bigger fish than I have. How black and blue? There are times when your ribs are black and blue. There've got to be, because some of those fish are, I've been beaten up by snappers before, and some of the ones.
We're live here, right?
Yeah.
We're live. So I just came back.
Look, there you go.
Right there. There you go. That's as close as skin to win from Big Water Adventures. That was from last week, just on those bull reds where we were pounding on them. It's constant. It is. Everything in salt water is trying to beat the heck out of you. And Michael Waddell told me one time, he said, the cool thing about what you do is he said, I actually put an arrow or a bullet through what I'm chasing. He said, it'd be like me walking up to a 180-inch whitetail and trying to convince it to be on the show. That's pretty much what I do.
Because I'm telling you, we did a show years ago where we were just fishing black tip sharks, and you know how nasty those things can be. And it always made me laugh when guys run around the boat trying to land a 3-pound fish. You ever been pulled around the deck by a 120-pound black tip or some of the things that's pulling you. That's not running. You can't do anything about that.
No, I mean, true story. I went to I thought I was having a heart attack about 3 or 4 years ago. And I went in, I got the stress test. I had all that stuff done. And he says, so when is it hurting? And he got me hooked up to an EKG. This is a true story. And I said, well, it's killing me right now. And he said, well, point to where it hurts. And I really had never pointed to it. And I pointed, just below about where my heart was. He couldn't figure out what it was. They put me in and x-rayed me. And I had 3 cracked ribs from a shoot that I'd had about a month ago. And I thought I was having a heart attack. Because the way it happened is I had about a 400-pound blue next to the boat. And I grabbed that fish's bill. And it was like I got hit by lightning. It picked me up and slammed me down like a bag of Cheetos about 9 times. And makes sense. That'd make you think you're having a heart attack about 3 weeks later.
That for sure is. That is just, and people, because when I got back from Venice, I think this was 2 years ago, and I was really black and blue. I fought a sword. I fought a swordfish for 2.5 hours, a 10-footer. Okay,
that's one of the strongest fish in the ocean, right there, pound for pound.
Yeah, it just feels like you hooked up to a truck, and this for the first hour. I don't think they know they're hooked.
No,
they're just all they're doing is staying down at 1,400 foot and having some fun with it.
And they can come up to the surface and go right back down there in 15 seconds, like it never even happened. That's the crazy thing. You think you're winning, and then you just watch 600 yards of line go bye-bye.
Yeah, it was really starting to get aggravating after a little bit. You're like, yes, this battle is hard to win. But I got home and I was black and blue, and somebody asked me, well, that was fun. I said, hell yeah, it was a lot of fun. Exactly. I love catching fish when I get the opportunity that are bigger than me. And I know you feel the same way. It's a constant challenge for you, isn't it?
It is. And I can put it into a sentence that I think will hit home to you. What I love the most about saltwater, like if we're getting in on stand-up on giant bluefin up in PEI, I mean, we're legit, when guys like, there's no way you're telling the truth. We're putting 60 pounds, 55, 60 pounds of drag on these fish on stand-up on 130s. But what I love the most about saltwater, just like with that swordfish and with the big bluefin and stuff like that, is you settle into that fight and you legitimately start thinking to yourself, am I going to be able to break this fish before I break? Yeah. And that to me is the ultimate in fishing. When you legitimately start thinking, man, I'm not sure I got what it takes to break this fish. If it's on stand up with a sword or a big tuna or something like that, that's what really just gets my clock ticking, man, is when you're 2 hours in and you're thinking, he ain't even acting like he's hurt. And I don't know how bad I'm hurt yet.
And I know you're the same way because you used to fish bass tournaments back in the day, and we're competitive. We're just competitive by nature. That type A and competitive, and that's where we are. And the next fish, how big is it going to be, and can I beat it?
Exactly.
And when we come back, I want to take our mid break here for a couple minutes. We're going to come back, and I want to talk to you about that Tropic Star and a couple other places, because I know every year you go, there's some prizes, and I want our crowd to hear about them. I want our audience to hear about it. So everybody, hey, hang on. We are going to be back, as Chuck Woolery used to say, we're going to be back in 2 and 2.
Your agent.
American Tackle is home to the award-winning microwave line control system. Rod blanks to reel seats, ferrules to finish, grips to guides. They're committed to the very best in rod building components. Find out more, americantackle.us. With fishing beyond your expectations, indoor and outdoor activities, a vast variety of places to eat, drink, and stay. Discover your next adventure between the bluffs. ExploreLaCrosse.com. Located in Springfield, Illinois' largest selection of sports and sportswear, hunting, fishing, specialty shops and services, a 65-foot Ferris wheel, 16,000-gallon saltwater aquarium, and industry-leading knowledgeable employees. You don't take chances at Shields, ever. Go to Shields.com. Believing quality is measured by lifespan and harnessing their unique chemistry and engineering know-how. Dakota Lithium lasts 4 times longer, powering your passion with an 11-year warranty. Find out more, DakotaLithium.com.
Slick Fish Radio with Jim Crowley can be seen and heard on Roku, Fire TV, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iTunes.
Hey, we are back. My guest is Mark Davis of Big Water Ventures, finishing off his 15th year. How many awards have you won just for Big Water Adventures now, Mark?
We're sitting at it's either 8 or 9 Golden Moose Awards. We won Best Host, Best Saltwater Series, Best Series, and we're sitting at 52 Telly Awards right now.
Jeez, holy cow!
So it's been crazy.
Well done and well deserved for
Thank
sure. I want to talk about, I love when you go to Crocodile Bay Resort. I just think that's cool. Tropic Star's another one. I think those are two bucket list places for
They
me.
are.
Now, you've been going there for both places, very, very long time.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you this question about when you go, what comes to mind, any one of those places or both of them, what comes to mind is, hey, we set this trip up, everything finally lined up, everything was great. And then all of a sudden there was a lot bigger player that came into than we thought. There was a lot bigger fish, because we know, I've never said that luck just happens. Luck happens because you put yourself in a position to be lucky.
Sure.
And you're there when you're there, but what comes to mind that all of a sudden even surprised you and you went, I didn't count on that?
That happens almost every year there. I
Right.
mean, those two places are, I rig and carry the tackle everywhere we go. So everything you see on the boat, the rods, reels, baits, line, leaders, all that stuff, I've got it rigged and ready to go. When you go to those two places, I always tell people the best thing you can do, if your bucket list fish is a black marlin or a blue marlin or dolphin, tunas, wahoos, cuberas, whatever you're wanting to catch, rooster fish, go when the fish are there, but also understand that these are, some of them are just straight up pelagics, which we all know what that means. They may be there
Anywhere.
The ocean's doing. But even the cuberas and the rooster fish can be very transitory, and they can either be there or not be there. So when I go down there, I mean, I'm literally rigging up everything from 50s to 80s for trolling. I've got all the big stuff. The one thing I constantly do when I'm going down there is I'm trying to rig and be gunned for as big a stuff as I possibly can go after. And if I think I'm going down there in the middle of the sailfish run to Crocodile Bay and they're not there, and everybody's like, hey man, the marlin are out of the fads, we'll go to the fads. Or if the cuberas and the roosters are inshore, we'll go throw poppers or pull live baits, whatever we got to do. But where your question comes in, the one that comes to mind is I was gunned up as much as we could. 50s and 80s, we were trolling. It was in Crocodile Bay, and I had Herman up in the tower and had Oldemar on the deck. And we had a marlin come into the spread. And while we were looking, that fish was going back and forth. And really on the teasers, we actually had some live baits. We tried dropping a pitch bait back to it, tried a live bait. And it just kind of sunk out of view. And it was almost like a scene out of Jaws. I saw Herman's eyes get real big. I was standing, I was looking up at him, and I was, standing in the cockpit, and I look up, and his eyes just got real big. And I thought, well, that marlin came back, and I turned around, and when I turned around and looked, there's a marlin that came up in the spread. And, I've not caught any huge, massive fish. I mean, the biggest ones I've caught 400, 500, 600 pounds tops. This fish came up into the spread, and the first thing I thought of was, we ain't got nothing for that. Herman said he's been down there for 40 years. He said it was the biggest blue he'd ever seen.
Wow.
And my first thought was I would have needed a 30 to 40 pound yellowfin bridled up on a 20-aught circle hook on a 130 to even think about trying to catch that fish. And it came up and looked at everything we had. It stayed in the spread for probably a good minute and a half. I mean, we've got footage of it, but you can't really see it, because it was in the water. But the thing was just so freaking huge. It was the one and only time I can tell you that I took a look at a fish and said, I don't even have anything to even touch that thing, and there's no point in even trying. So we just sat there and enjoyed how massive it was.
Are
That
you
was about 10 years ago.
now, when you said a 30 or 40 pound yellowfin, I've caught yellowfins, close to 100 pounds, 30, 40 pound yellowfin, that's a big fish. That's a good fish.
That's your average lab sitting in your lap. And I'm talking about bridling that up and using it for
Right.
bait.
And so, and I, heard this from musky guys, a lot, that some of the reasons we don't catch really, really big, fish bigger than 60 inches, we just don't throw the baits at them that are big enough.
Right.
And it's got to be the same thing in saltwater.
It is. And that happens a lot in saltwater. I mean, we've had just tons of situations where you had a legitimately, respectable something hooked, and something big came up, and came up either and ate it or tried to eat it or whatever. I mean, that's the thing about the ocean. It does not matter what you are or where you are in the food chain. There's a bigger horse out there that can puddle stomp you. That's it.
Now, if you had, so I got a couple guys in here asking for one guy for a bucket list fish. If you had just the average guy works at 40-hour, 50-hour, 60-hour week, and wants a good place to go and just get on a shot. And like you said, depending on time of year, but on a decent budget, where would you tell them would be one of the places that you would consider?
The craziest thing, the easiest fish to get is also the biggest fish you can catch, and that's the giant bluefins. And the only reason I say that is because the Bruce brothers up in PEI, if you look them up, it's Bruce Brothers Charters up in PEI, Jamie and Troy Bruce. And as crazy as this sounds, you can stay within 3 to 5 miles of the beach and sometimes way closer. I mean, there was one time we were hand feeding the bluefin, and I heard a lady say, "What are you doing?" And I looked up, and 100 yards in front of me was a lady standing on the beach, and I'm hand feeding a giant, when I'm saying I'm talking about pounders, I'm talking about legit 120 inches to the fork bluefin. But here's the thing. The average guy can go up there and fish with those guys. And in 2 to 3 days, sometimes it only takes one, but these guys average 75, 80% on landing the fish that they hook up. And you'll get a shot to 3 shots to 5 shots virtually every single day up there. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, unless you get a weather event or something goofy, you will come back with an 800 to 1,000 pound bluefin, whether you've done it before or not, because those guys are absolute pros. They'll get you tied to one and they'll get him to the boat.
That now there's something that I even might be interested in. So guys, thanks for asking that question, because now I may pick your brain at ICAST a little more about that.
If they're not there, I can give you the phone number.
Yeah, because I would like to call them and do that. A bluefin is definitely on the bucket list, and that is really, really cool.
Yeah, I think their site, it's PEI Bluefin Tuna Charters, I think. Okay. But if you look up Bruce Brothers, BRUCE Brothers Charters, you'll find them.
Cool. Now for season 15, you just wrapped up, so you're actually home for a little bit, going to enjoy Christmas with the family.
2 weeks.
Yay! Yeah, enough for your wife to yell at you until you get out of the house. I want to clean again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so what are, without giving away the stuff for season 15, what are a couple of things that stood out for you that you went, yeah, after 15 years, this was still pretty cool?
I've got a couple personal records in season 15. Awesome. I did some, and they. In saltwater, most of the time, your personal records, unless you're going after a species, it's usually just something that happens and the circumstances were just crazy enough. I mean, you talking about Venice. Venice is a perfect example. I was on the Mexican Gulf Fishing Company's boat with Jordan Ellis, and I had about 110, 120 pound yellowfin crash a topwater plug, and I literally put the heat to it, turned it, and got it running back down the side. And to make a long story short, I had the fish to the boat on the gaff on a topwater. Is about over 100-pound fish in less than a minute.
Wow.
And that was 80-pound braided line. I had 150-pound Seaguar Blue Label top shot. I saw I was throwing a rooster popper, Halco rooster popper haymaker. Yeah. So I saw he had all the hooks from Gamakatsu 5/4X hooks in his mouth. I literally cut the spool, 80-pound thread lock, and I just put the heat on that fish. And I told Jordan, I said, get the stick. And Jordan thought I meant the camera. So he comes running up there with the GoPro on the stick. And I'm like, the stick. Yeah. He looks down and he goes, no way. Runs back, grabs the gaff, sticks the fish on the deck.
Yeah,
and that's all on film, by the way.
Thanks, because the GoPro's not going to help me out in this situation. I need the one with the hook on it.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Well, that'll be a neat little, we get stuff like that. I mean, that's what makes big water adventures, man. I mean, we were in a situation where that happened and we got it on film.
So before we let you go, for those people who've been living under a rock, where can they find out more about Mark Davison, guys? Because if you haven't seen Big Water Adventures, I'm telling you, every show that's on my bucket list. Every show when I watch it that's on my bucket list.
Yeah, we do East Coast, West Coast, Gulf Coast, 50 plus species a year. And I mean, it's literally, we try to do a bucket list lifetime every season.
And one thing I want to do, I got to tell you, because I learned about a product from your show and I wrote it down and I've got one in my studio here today because I had to tell you about it because I think this is the coolest little gadget. And I'm going to talk to Mark about it. The Rapid Fishing Solutions hook all disc.
Yes, sir.
And the line threader.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, the older I get, that line threader is worth its weight in gold and then more.
I'm not too embarrassed to tell you I've got one in my wallet. No joke.
They
when
work.
are you not with your wallet? So I've got one in my wallet. I reach in my wallet and I grab it whenever I got to thread a rod. So
I love a couple of their products. Tell people a little bit about Rapid Fishing because they're great.
It's funny. They came out with these little discs that you look at, a little plastic disc that you put on a hook, and then you stop and think to yourself, what am I going to do with that? Well, things I started doing with it, I'm taking bucktails and I'm putting a barrel swivel and a willow leaf on it so that the snappers aren't pulling the plastic trailer off. It allows you to create some things. You can pin the baits a lot better. If you've got a soft bait, especially if I'm using a small circle hook and I'm nose hooking the bait, you can just put that little plastic disc on there and it'll keep the bait pinned so it doesn't back itself off if you don't have a big barb. The neat thing about Rapid is they just make, why didn't I think of that stuff, that you can help create different things that you do while you're fishing, but also just little things like the line guides and the line clips that, quite frankly, make your life easier and keep you from wasting time trying to get the line through the rod 19 times.
Now, and folks, I'm telling you, I don't work for Rapid Fishing Solutions, but I have that little line threader. And
I've got them everywhere, man.
We are setting up for an ice fishing show to go do next week, and I've got these little light ultralight rods. I am telling you, if I didn't have that thing down there, I would have been late for the show tonight because I would have still been trying to put that line through the guides.
Yes, sir.
That thing really worked out great. So, well, thanks for that. So, guys, yeah, thanks for chiming in. Stay tuned after I let Mark go.
Just one last thing. To find me is real simple. Just look at my website. Everything's tied in there. It's bigwateradventures.com. One word.
And that's what I was going to ask you. And that is the easiest thing. You can also follow him on social media. He's always got great pictures on Instagram as well as Facebook. Mark, I want to wish you and your family a very merry and blessed Christmas. Last show of the year. I am thrilled we finally got this hooked up and got to do it. And thank you so much for your time. And thanks for all the entertainment over the years, buddy.
I appreciate it, brother. We're going to keep going. Merry Christmas to you. And I've just got one request. Let's not wait, 2.5 more decades to do it again, please.
All right. You got a promise from me. Matter of fact, why don't we talk next year after you wrap up season 16?
I can't wait, brother.
Thanks, my friend. God bless you. We'll see you.
Love.
That was Mark Davis. What a great guy. We have known each other for such a long time. And I appreciate you tuning in tonight. And this will be on Facebook afterwards. I know that's where a lot of you see it afterwards, is not checking it live, but afterwards. And I appreciate it. But thanks for all the people that chimed in tonight. So let's do a couple giveaways. I have a couple hats from Lucas Oil, and I have a t-shirt. Anybody who is a size large tonight, if you chime in within the next, we're going to go off here in a couple minutes, but anybody who's a size large chimes in here in about the next half hour. I'll go back and I'll check some of your comments after this. I'm going to send you a Lucas Oil t-shirt that's going to be large. Now, I'm going to give away 2 hats tonight. Okay, I'm going to give away 2 Lucas Oil hats. Now, I want you to go to lucasoil.com. They have a new product that just came out, and I'll even give you a big hint. It was in their car care line. All right, that's going to be offered new for 2022. All right, it's in the Slick Mist line. I get 2 people to answer me the correct question of what that is. And I am going to I'll send 2 Lucas Oil hats here. And like Mark said, they got some of the coolest swag out there. You're going to get a cool Lucas Oil t-shirt, and you're going to get a couple cool hats as well. So, and you don't have to comment now. We're going to go here in a couple minutes, but I'm going to check Facebook for the next half hour. I get a couple comments from there, or even something shows up tomorrow morning. You might be wrapping presents tonight. I don't know. Whatever. I get a couple comments. Anybody's size large. First one to comment on that on size large, you get a Lucas Oil t-shirt. Next 2 people that tell me what the new product is for 2022 in the Slick Mist line, I will send you a Lucas Oil hat. I want to wish all of you, first of all, thanks for joining us live. I know a lot of you are going to see us or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music tomorrow. You'll also see us on the Slickfish radio page on Roku as well as Fire TV. I want to thank all of you for joining us, as you always do. We had a great year. Next year is going to be even better, and a lot of it is because of you. God bless you. I'm Jim Crowley. Merry Christmas to all of you. Enjoy time with your family. We'll see you in a new year.